At the beginning of the film, we see a man named Hamdan who looks terrified, as if he's expecting someone to show up at any moment. Nervous and frantic, he searches around until he finds a piece of white cloth and starts writing something on it. Suddenly, a horrifying entity appears at the door. It begins moving toward him in a strange, unnatural way. Terrified, Hamdan jumps out of the window to escape, but the moment he lands, a masked man lunges at him. Somehow, Hamdan manages to break free and rushes back inside the house. He slams the door shut and starts chanting. But suddenly, an invisible force begins pulling him deeper into the house, and the scene cuts. A little while after this incident, Hamdan's son Raka and daughter Naya return home. As they step inside, they notice an eerie silence, and the front door is wide open. Naya is shocked when she sees blood on the floor. Raka tries to brush it off, saying it's probably just cake coloring, but Naya is certain it's blood. Worried, Naya rushes to her father's room. She sees him lying on the bed, but the room is a mess and the window is open. As she closes the window and turns back, she's horrified to see her father standing under the blanket on the bed. Trembling with fear, she pulls the blanket away, but there's no one there. Just then, Raka calls her from downstairs. Naya runs down and finds her father kneeling on the floor in a disturbing position, covered in blood. She asks Raka to help lift him and quickly decides to call an ambulance. But suddenly, their father starts growling in a terrifying way. His facial skin begins to burn and smoke starts rising from it. Moments later, he starts vomiting blood, and with it, his intestines spill out. He dies right there. At the time of his death, he's holding a note in his hand. Later, during the ritual washing of the body, a neighbor recites a prayer and closes his mouth. Two other men whisper to each other, suggesting this might be the result of black magic. Raka then begins performing the ritual himself, but as soon as water is poured over the body, his father's eyes suddenly open, terrifying everyone present. The old man quickly recites another prayer and shuts his eyes again. After the ritual, heavy rain and thunder begin outside. A man informs Raka that the cemetery might flood due to the storm, so the burial should be postponed until the next morning. Raka agrees, and everyone leaves. Later, Raka shows Naya a mysterious talisman he found near their father. He suspects that their father's death might be connected to black magic, since there was no logical explanation. But Naya shuts him down, saying it's not right to speak that way about their father. As Raka heads to his room, a door behind him suddenly creaks open on its own. Nervously, he steps forward, and suddenly, the entire house plunges into darkness. Raka enters the room and grabs a flashlight. The moment he turns it on, a strange shadow appears on the wall, but Raka doesn't notice it. Inside the room, he finds an old photograph. Suddenly, eerie noises start coming from the ceiling. Out of nowhere, the entity knocks him down, startling him. Raka regains his composure and continues searching. He finds several amulets, along with a piece of his father's cloth. Written on it are the words, Fin Ki Maang. In other words, Fin Mang. Meanwhile, as Naya tries to close a newly opened window, she catches the entity's reflection in the glass. But when she turns around, there's no one there. Suddenly, the entity lunges at her. Terrified, Naya runs to Raka and tells him she saw something strange in their father's room. Just then, they both see the entity hovering over their father's dead body. Panicking, they rush downstairs, but when they get there, both the body and the entity are gone. Naya suggests calling the police, but Raka hesitates. He says, "What are we supposed to tell them? That a demon came and took our father's body?" Both of them are now tense, unsure of what to do next. Raka shows Naya the items he found in their father's room. They notice that one of the amulets looks brand new. They're confused about who Kimong really is. Then they discover something written behind the photograph: Rajima, Hamdan, Ulan, Budi, East Java, Rangu Village, 1900 Nabi. It seems like this is their father's real family. Raka decides they must go to Rangu Village. He wants to know why their father hid his past his entire life and who their mother and grandparents really are. But Naya refuses to go. Raka argues that they need an explanation for their neighbors about their father's missing body. At the very least, they can say they're taking his body to his village for burial in an ambulance. The next day, the two of them set out for Rangu Village. A flashback shows Hamdan celebrating the birthday of his twin children, Raka and Naya, as they share a happy moment together. The scene then returns to the present. The driver suddenly tells him he can't go any further. So Raka and Naya get out of the car. The place is completely deserted, with no phone signal at all. Naya accidentally steps on a crushed rat and gets startled. She then says they should have asked the driver for directions. Just then, they spot a man in the distance. Naya calls out to him, but the moment he sees them, he runs away in a strange and unsettling manner. Raka spots a signboard that reads Rangu Village. He decides they'll go about 500 meters further. If they don't find anything, they'll turn back. After walking for a long time, the empty, deserted road starts to scare Naya, and she wants to go back. But Raka insists that since they've already come this far, they should keep going a little more. Just then, they run into a girl named Ayu. Raka tells her they're looking for Rajma from Rangu Village. Ayu says she lives in the same village and agrees to guide them there. As they continue walking, Naya falls behind while tying her shoelaces. Suddenly, she hears a rustling sound coming from the bushes. As she stands up, a strange woman appears in front of her, pulls something out of her mouth, smears it onto Naya's body, and then runs away. Hearing her scream, Raka rushes back. Naya immediately wants to go home, but Raka convinces her that they're very close to their destination. Eventually, she agrees. On the way, Ayu mentions that outsiders rarely come to this village. She also says that the village is famous for supplying rice. At the entrance, Naya is shocked to see flowers hanging in a very unusual way. Ayu explains that it's an ancient tradition passed down by their ancestors, which they still follow. Once they enter the village, they notice the same man who had earlier run away after seeing Naya. Ayu leads them to Rajma's house. Raka and Naya introduce themselves and thank Ayu for her help. Ayu tells them her house is near the village entrance and then leaves. After she's gone, they knock on Rajma's door. An old woman comes out and introduces herself. Raka explains that he and Naya are twins and that they need her help. He wants to show her a photo and ask something important. Instead of answering directly, Rajma invites them inside. They go in, and Rajma asks them to sit while she goes to bring something to drink. Naya quietly warns Raka that they should understand the situation before jumping straight to the main point. Rajma returns with a traditional drink called Wadang Sekang, meant to keep the body warm. Without hesitation, Raka drinks it, but Naya leaves hers untouched. Then Raka finally reveals the truth. He says they are Hamdan's children and asks if Rajma is their grandmother. Rajma admits that Hamdan was their son, but not anymore. She explains that Hamdan chose his own path. Then she tells them not to call her grandma, but instead address her as Mrs. Jimha. Raka and Naya reveal that their father has passed away and that his body mysteriously disappeared. They say they want to uncover the truth about their father's hidden past, but Mrs. Jimha warns them that it's better for them not to dig into these secrets. Still, Naya and Raka insist that they have the right to know, and that apart from Mrs. Jimha, they have no other family left. Mrs. Jimha then tells them that in 2 days, the village will celebrate the Harvest Festival, where all the family members will gather. She says they'll find all their answers there and offers them a place to stay until the festival. After that, she arranges for Naya to stay in Hamdan's sister Wulan's room and for Raka to stay in Hamdan's old room. Raka tells Naya to keep that cloth and the amulet with her and says that tomorrow they'll go looking for what they came for. But Naya starts doubting her decision to come here. She's scared that maybe their father wasn't a good man after all. This strange and mysterious village only makes her feel more uneasy. Raka tries to comfort her. After Raka leaves, Naya falls asleep. Suddenly she wakes up and finds herself wrapped in a burial shroud. The same entity that took her father's body appears and sits on top of her. She jolts awake, realizing it was just a nightmare. Terrified, Naya puts on her father's amulet and goes back to sleep. But this time, she finds herself inside a dark cave and hears her father Hamdan screaming. As she moves forward, something hits her foot, causing sharp pain. She looks around and sees countless human skulls scattered everywhere. The next morning, Raka wakes Naya up. He's shocked to see her sleeping outside the house. Naya is breathing heavily and tells him about the dream, how she heard their father's voice and saw all those skulls. Raka tries to calm her down, saying it was just a nightmare, but Naya is convinced it was real. Raka notices that Naya is wearing their father's old amulet and tells her to take it off. Just then, Mrs. Jimha appears in front of them. She asks how they slept and says she's been waiting for a long time for Hamdan to bring them here. Then she serves them food. At the table, Raka mentions that he doesn't eat meat. Mrs. Jimha responds that for now he'll have to eat vegetarian food, but slowly he'll start liking the food here. Naya then asks Mrs. Jimha if there's a cave somewhere in the village. Mrs. Jimha avoids giving a clear answer and instead asks why she wants to know. Right at that moment, someone calls out to Mrs. Jimha. Naya turns to Raka, fear in her eyes, and says she's really scared and she doesn't want to stay in this village anymore. But Raka says there's no way to go back now, and they're definitely staying until tomorrow's festival. They decide that before the festival begins, they'll secretly explore the village and try to find any clues about their father's hidden secret. Raka reassures her that as soon as the festival ends, they'll return home. Just then, Mrs. Jimma arrives and tells them she has to step out for some work. Seeing the opportunity, the two of them sneak out to search for clues. Naya recognizes a man from earlier and asks him about the cave. The man mentions something called Bathi Cave, but no matter how much they beg, he refuses to tell them where it is. Instead, he warns them to leave the village before it's too late. Now convinced that the cave exists, Naya becomes determined to find it. As they walk, Raka asks her to remember anything about it. Naya says she doesn't recall clearly, but she remembers it being dark, damp, and filled with the smell of incense. Raka tells her to drop the idea of finding the cave, which leads to an argument between them. Naya blames Raka for losing trust in their father, saying all their problems started because of that photo. Later, they both turn away, silently realizing their mistakes. But when Naya turns back, Raka is gone. And on the other side, Raka realizes Naya is missing too. They've somehow gotten separated. Panicked, they start calling out each other's names. While searching for Naya, Raka unknowingly reaches the same cave. He lights a torch lying nearby. Inside, he sees something covered with cloth that looks like a human organ, and he's instantly terrified. Suddenly, a chant echoes through the cave, speaking about being bound to Bandi forever. Out of nowhere, an entity lunges at Raka. The camera then shifts to Naya. She's searching for Raka in the forest, terrified. She reaches Ayu's house and calls out to her, but the only sound coming from inside is a radio. No response at all. When Naya looks inside, she sees Ayu brutally cutting something that looks like a human child. Horrified by the sight, Naya quietly runs away. That strange woman suddenly grabs Naya and tells her to come along. But Naya pushes her away and runs. She keeps calling out for Raka. Suddenly, coconuts start falling from a tree. As Naya backs away in fear, she falls into a hidden trap. She struggles desperately to climb out but fails. Then something like a coconut falls in front of her. But when she picks it up, she realizes it's a severed human head. Screaming and crying in terror, Naya is finally pulled out of the pit by that man, Sugeng. Shaking with fear, she tells him that Raka is missing and that she saw something horrifying at Ayu's house. Sugeng calms her down and assures her that his brother Raka is safe. He tells Naya to return to Mrs. Jimha's house, immediately leaves the village as soon as possible. Sugeng explains that in this village, whenever someone goes missing, they always end up returning to Mrs. Jimha's house. When Naya asks about the village's dark secret, Sugeng tells her he'll explain everything later. Then Naya asks about her father, Hamdan. Sugeng says he'll drop her near Mrs. Jimha's house so she can take her brother and leave. On the way, Naya finally learns the man's name, Sugeng. She asks him why he used to run away whenever he saw her. Sugeng replies that he's not used to talking to strangers. Naya notices an old watch tied to his wrist, and Sugeng tells her it belonged to his father. In the end, Naya asks why he's helping her. Sugeng looks serious and says that all of this needs to end. He leaves her a little distance away from the house and tells her to meet him at the village entrance at exactly 3 a.m., but warns her not to tell anyone. Naya returns to Mrs. Jimma's house. Seeing her in such dirty condition, Mrs. Jimma asks where she had been. Naya lies, saying she went out to the fields. As she enters the house, just like Sugeng had said, she sees Raka there. Naya feels relieved seeing him, but something is off. He's acting strange. He doesn't say a word, and worst of all, he's calmly eating meat. Mrs. Jimma serves them dinner, soft bone soup, and mentions that Naya's father used to love it too. Just as Naya is about to take a bite, Ayu walks in carrying raw meat in her hands. The sight of it makes Naya lose her appetite instantly. Making an excuse, Naya leaves the table and goes to her room, where she starts vomiting violently. After that, she quickly packs her bag. There are still 15 minutes left until 3 a.m. Naya then goes to call Raka. She quietly knocks on his door and calls out to him. At that moment, she hears Mrs. Jimha softly chant at something. Peeking through a small gap, Naya sees something terrifying. Mrs. Jimha is performing a black magic ritual. After finishing, she hides the ritual items under her bed. Naya quickly hides to the side. Mrs. Jimma then leaves her room and walks straight into Raka's room. Through the gap, Naya watches in horror as Mrs. Jimma performs some kind of magic on Raka, and then suddenly begins taking off her clothes to wake him up. Raka also removes his clothes. The two embrace each other. What happens next is too much for Naya to bear. She breaks down, crying uncontrollably, and eventually falls asleep on a nearby chair, completely overwhelmed. Outside, Shuging is waiting for them. Suddenly, he notices Ayu stepping out of the house, burning some clothes in a fire. Meanwhile, Mrs. Jimha leaves Raka's room and returns to her own. Shortly after, Naya wakes up, confused and unsure of what to do. She notices it's 4 a.m. Gathering her courage, she quietly sneaks into Mrs. Jimma's room, takes a few pictures of the black magic items hidden under her bed. As Naya steps outside, she sees Raka sitting there, eating raw chicken. The moment he notices her, he starts moving toward her. Just then, a strange woman suddenly appears and saves Naya. But as soon as she hears Mrs. Jimma's voice, the woman runs away. Mrs. Jimma and Naya bring Raka back inside the house. Mrs. Jimma goes in to prepare a drink to fix him. Once Raka returns to normal, he has no memory of what happened. Naya tells him that under the influence of some evil force, he actually ate a live chicken. Mrs. Jimma comes back with her special drink, but this time Naya refuses to let Raka drink it. Mrs. Jimha then reveals that her father, Hamdan, was a very dangerous black magician, and because of him, this entire family, and even the village, is cursed. She explains that to keep the village safe, every newborn baby is killed, and now that same evil force is hunting both Raka and Naya. Jimha says that the only way to break the curse is to perform a special ritual. She offers to help them complete it during the harvest festival that evening, along with the villagers. However, Naya refuses to agree and decides that as soon as Raka recovers, they will leave the village. She goes to pack his belongings, but when she comes back out, Raka is nowhere to be seen. Suddenly, she finds him clinging to the ceiling, acting aggressively. He leaps down and starts choking her. Mrs. Jimha rushes in, stops him, and tells Naya that they have no other choice but to perform the ritual, otherwise the devil will never stop chasing them. Left with no option, Naya asks where the ritual will take place. Jimha mentions a cave. That's when Naya realizes Jimha had lied before. Jimha explains that it's a highly secret cave, which is why she kept it hidden. Soon, they reach the cave. The moment Naya sees it, she realizes it's the same cave she saw in her dreams. Raka also feels like the place is strangely familiar. As they enter, they find many people already gathered inside, all wearing strange masks. The same kind of mask someone wore when they attacked Hamdan. And among them, Ayub is there too. During the ritual, Naya spots a large machete and immediately gets terrified, asking what it's for. Jima calmly replies, "It's for your neck," then coldly thanks them for coming to fulfill their destiny. At that moment, the villagers grab them. They quickly realize that in the name of breaking the curse, they're actually about to be sacrificed. A flashback reveals that one of the cult members had killed their father and secretly placed his photo in their cupboard. That same man calls them traitors and says he's been waiting a long time to kill them. Mrs. Jima orders that Naya shouldn't be killed yet because they still need her. So, they lock Naya inside a room deep in the jungle while Raka is tied to a chair, prepared for the sacrifice. Crying and desperate, Naya screams that Raka is the only family she has left. begging them not to hurt him. Meanwhile, the cult surrounds Raka and begins chanting sinister mantras loudly in Japanese, their voices echoing as the entire group joins in. On the other side, Naya is crying inside the locked room when Suging quietly sneaks in and rescues her. Hearing a noise, the guards come to check, only to find that Naya has escaped. Furious, they spread out in all directions and begin hunting her down. Suging and Naya hide near the roots of a massive tree in the jungle. He tells her to stay hidden and count to 100. He also instructs her to follow the white markings on the trees, which will lead her to a small house where she'll be safe. When Naya asks who he really is, Suging mysteriously replies that the two of them have the same eyes. Sacrificing himself, Suging distracts the guards so Naya can escape. The guards spot him and chase after him instead. After finishing counting to 100, Naya comes out of hiding. Trusting Suging, she follows the white marks on the trees and eventually reaches a small house. Calling out his name, she knocks on the door, but inside, she finds the same strange woman. Terrified, Naya explains through tears that her brother Raka has been captured by the villagers and that Suging sent her here. She demands to know what's really going on in this village and whether her father, Hamdan, truly cursed it. The woman, named Waitin, reveals that she knew Hamdan and that she was the one who helped him escape from this cursed village. Watan finally reveals the horrifying truth about Rangu village. She explains that everyone in the village worships a demon named Bondi. According to the rules of this ritual, people are forced to marry within their own families. Because of this, many children are born deformed or handicapped, and those children are sacrificed inside the Bathi cave. The ones who grow up healthy are given the responsibility of producing the next generation to keep this demonic cult alive. And anyone who dares to break these rules has their soul trapped in a dark dimension forever. Children born without any physical defects are chosen as the next heir of Bathi, and Mrs. Rajma is revealed to be the leader of this sinister cult. Meanwhile, Mrs. Rajma is performing a black magic ritual on Raka. On the other hand, Watan tells Naya the truth about her parents. In a flashback, a young Hamdan is seen talking to his sister Woolen. Woolen wanted to take her children far away from the village so they could live safely. This reveals that Woolen was actually the real mother of both Naya and Raka, and also Hamdan's own sister. This means they were victims of the cult's inbreeding. Thinking about his children's future, Hamdan begs Watan to help him escape the village. He says he doesn't want his kids to live a cursed life like this, but Watan refuses, saying she cannot help. Hamdan insists, reminding her that she survived being burned alive, which means she must have some kind of power. He pleads for her help. Watan expresses sorrow over Woolen's death, revealing that she died while giving birth. She then notices that Naya's eyes look just like her own son Sugeng's. Watan gives Hamdan a special amulet and also shares the address of her guru, Manku. However, she warns him that the amulet's power will only last for 21 years. After that, the demon will find them again. Meanwhile, the ritual being performed on Raka fails. Jima explains that to complete the ritual, they need the blood of one of the twins, because their souls are connected. To please the demon, one of them must die. Soon, they capture Suging and bring him there, revealing that he was the one who helped Naya escape. Rajma insults him, calling him impure blood, and orders that he be burned alive just like his parents. They pour kerosene over him and set him on fire. At the same time, Naya shows Waitan the amulet that belonged to her father. Waitan explains that their father had two amulets, one meant to protect both of them, and the other designed specifically to stop the demon Bati. She also reveals that this special amulet can only be used by members of their bloodline. Just then, Naya suddenly appears outside, and Raka also shows up in a strange way. Seeing each other, they feel a moment of relief. But the cult members are right behind them, so they try to escape as fast as possible. Waitan calls out to them, and Raka and Naya hide with her. Then, Waitan sacrifices herself to help them get away. Because she helped them escape, the villagers turn furious and threaten to burn her alive, just like Sugeng. Before dying, Waitan curses them, and right after that a man kills her on the spot. On the other hand, Raka brings Naya to Jima. Naya tries to run, but they surround her from all sides. It turns out Jima had possessed Raka all along and sent him to bring Naya back. Jima lunges at Naya with a sword and orders everyone to capture and kill her. As the cult members move in, Rajima claims Naya as her own prey and prepares to kill her. But just as Rajima steps forward, Naya suddenly sticks the amulet onto her head. Instantly, Rajima's face starts burning, just like her father did. Chaos breaks out as everyone loses control and begins killing each other. They end up destroying one another. In the end, Rajima still moves toward Naya one last time. So Naya grabs a sword and drives it straight into her head. After that, Naya wakes Raka up, and the two quickly escape the cave. But after they leave, we get a glimpse of the demon. As they walk through the forest, they suddenly collapse. Naya then realizes that Raka has disappeared again, and right in front of her, the demon appears. In the next scene, Naya is shown alive and unharmed. She spots a car and asks for help. The driver lets her sit in the back and agrees to drop her at the terminal. Finally, she manages to escape that cursed village. In the post-credits scene, Raka is seen sitting inside a bus, holding a large machete. Suddenly, screams fill the bus. It's revealed that Raka has killed everyone inside. Then the camera cuts to the bridge leading out of the village, where Naya is shown lying dead. With this, the story ends here. Subscribe to this channel for more stories like this.